Alien girl asked human to prove his strength. She didn't expect that kind of strength. The metal door hissed open, revealing a space carved from glowing obsidian-like rock, air thick with sulfur and something else, something primal and hot. Kale stumbled forward, shoved by a Kother guard whose living armor plates hummed a low, ominous tune. His wrists were bound with energy cuffs that bit into his skin. This wasn't a cell, this was an arena? A pit. The heat slammed into him, not just from the rock walls but from the massive, imposing figure standing center mass. Commander Vexia, taller than any human, maybe 8 feet, covered head to toe in that weird metallic skin that shifted hues like oil slick on water. Her armor wasn't gear, it was her. Plates the color of deep bronze flowing across her limbs, humming with latent energy, eyes like molten gold fixed on him. Her throat nodes vibrated, a deep resonance that felt more like a physical blow than a sound. So, the scavenger. Small, pathetic, her voice wasn't loud, but it resonated through the chamber, through his bones. You trespassed. You stole from the sacred mineral fields. Your kind are dust motes, worthless. Kale managed a shaky grin, ignoring the fear that was a cold knot in his gut against the crushing heat of the room. Hey, worthless dust motes gotta eat, right? And your sacred minerals look suspiciously like raw power crystals on the open market. A man's gotta make a living. His voice cracked slightly. God damn it. Don't show weakness. Besides, you caught me. Fair cop. What's the sentence? Melted down for scrap? Fed to whatever critters live in this glorified lava lamp? Vexia didn't react to his sarcasm. Her golden eyes narrowed, calculating. The humming of her armor intensified slightly. Your lack of respect is astounding. And potentially, it's interesting. She stepped closer, the ground vibrating faintly under her weight. Kale had to crane his neck to look up at her. She smelled of ozone and something like burnt sugar. The elders debate your fate. Many call for immediate dissolution. Your species is weak, disruptive, unworthy of existing on Kethar Prime. A low hum rose from the guards around the perimeter. Agreement. Yeah, well, dissolving sounds like a real bummer, Kale said, trying to inject lightness, failing. Look, I didn't know, honest. Thought it was just rocks. Ignorance is not a shield, Vexia stated. However, there is a Tunis and Jose possibility. A deviation from the standard path. She circled him slowly, her golden eyes sweeping over his frame. Kale felt intensely exposed, judged. The elders of the deep chambers believe your presence, your difference, could serve a purpose, a demonstration. A demonstration? Kale echoed. Like, look how easily we can crush a human. No. Vexia stopped in front of him again, her face unreadable, save for the intensity in her eyes. The humming in her armor seemed to lower in pitch, becoming less aggressive, more curious. A demonstration of strength, or its absence. You claim you are not worthless. You claim your kind makes a living. Your physical form is inadequate by our measures. Yet you persisted in crossing the scarred plains, avoiding patrols, penetrating sacred territory. She reached out a hand, covered in that shifting metal skin. Kale flinched, expecting a blow. Instead, she touched his cheek, her touch surprisingly cool against his sweat-slick skin. His heart hammered. Your structure is fragile, your muscle mass, negligible. Your bone density, miles concerningly low. She withdrew her hand. But you possess a resilience, a defiance, an unwillingness to break that the elders find. Faniosar, Dotecroft, and Herring find puzzling. They wish to understand this human strength. Kale swallowed his throat dry. This wasn't making sense. Okay, so, Totish. What? You want me to lift something heavy? Run really fast? How do I prove I'm not hollow slag? A low, deep hum emanated from Vexia's throat nodes, a sound Kale now associated with intense emotion from these beings. It wasn't anger. It was anticipation? Or maybe deep confusion. You will enter the chamber of resonance. You will undergo the trial of flame and form. There you will prove your strength, the strength required. That is fundamental. Biological. You will prove you can resonate with the form, or you will prove you are merely slog, consumed by the heat. Her golden eyes held his, and something shifted in their depths. The humming intensified again, but this time it felt different, deeper, richer. Your survival depends on the nature of your core. Fire, if you possess it, truly possess it, you will ignite the form. If not, the heat consumes you. Kale stared at her, mind racing. Chamber of resonance? Trial of flame and form? Ignite the form? This wasn't about lifting weights or winning a fight. Her words, her intensity, the way her gaze lingered on him. A sickening suspicion dawned on him. Wait a damn minute, he said, his voice hoarse. Are we talking about... Is this some kind of... mating thing? Vexia's metallic skin didn't flush, but the bronze plates on her neck and face seemed to shimmer with a faint inner light. The humming from her throat nodes rose to a higher, faster pitch. Do not diminish the sacred trial with your crude human terms, she said, her voice sharper now, commanding. It is the proving of resonant strength, the aligning of biological frequencies, the activation of the bond form. She stepped back, gesturing to another door, smaller, darker than the one he'd entered through. Enter the chamber, the elders observe. Prove you are not slag. He was still bound. Still weak, still a captive, and he had a terrifying feeling that the kind of strength they expected, the kind they associated with resonance and bond form and igniting, docked, was not the kind he usually relied on. This felt deeply, disturbingly sexual. His body, despite the fear, reacted to the intensity, the heat, the dominant presence of the alien woman. God damn it. He was going to die horny, wasn't he? The guards moved in, prodding him towards the dark door. He had no choice. He walked towards it, the cuffs still digging into his wrists, the heat of the chamber pressing in, and the deep, unsettling hum of Vexia's armor following him. He was a scavenger, not a goddamn stud. What the hell was he supposed to ignite? His sarcasm wouldn't help him here. His quick wits were useless. This required a different kind of door performance. A different kind of strength altogether. He felt a surge of pure, unadulterated dread mixed with a perverse curiosity. What exactly was this trial of flame and form, and what did it mean to resonate with the form? And how in God's name was a sarcastic, underweight human supposed to pass a test designed for these giants made of walking metal? He entered the darker chamber. The door sealed behind him with a heavy clang. Vexia's humming stopped. The air inside was even hotter, thicker, smelling strongly of minerals and something else, something organic and strange. He was in a smaller circular space. The walls were lined with more of the glowing obsidian, but there were strange conduits running across them, culminating in the center of the room. And in the center, standing silent, was Vexia. Her armor plates were still, no humming now. She looked, Forge, simple poetry bengehemen. Though I nank the loose demissions into their conduct for medieval good for different, less like a warrior, more like a statue carved from dark metal. The cuffs on his wrists suddenly deactivated and fell to the floor with a clatter. He rubbed his chafed skin, confused. Okay, handcuffs off. Is this part of the form thing? Do I get a weapon? Or is this more of a stand here and get tested kind of deal? Honja? Vexia didn't speak. She didn't move. The air grew even hotter. Then, the glowing patterns on the obsidian walls intensified, casting the chamber in a reddish, flickering light. The conduits began to hum, but this hum was lower, more resonant than Vexia's throat nodes. It pulsed, and Kale felt it deep in his chest, a vibration that seemed to shake his very bones. He stumbled back, unnerved. Whoa, okay, easy there, big metal, he said, hands up defensively. What's happening? Slowly, in response to the pulsing hum, Vexia's armor began to change. The bronze plates shimmered, flowing and reforming. New patterns emerged, glowing lines of molten gold spreading across her surface like veins. The humming now came from her too, a deep, steady note that harmonized with the chamber's resonance. It wasn't just her armor. It felt like her entire being was vibrating, radiating heat and energy. Her golden eyes, fixed on him, began to glow brighter. This was the form. This was what he had to ignite. But how? He looked around desperately. There were no instructions, no weapons, no tools, just him, the vibrating chamber, and the transformed, glowing alien warrior. The heat was becoming unbearable. He could feel sweat running in rivulets down his back. His breath was coming in short gasps. This was the flame part of the trial. If he failed to resonate, the heat would consume him. How did you resonate with a giant glowing alien woman? What did that even mean biologically? His mind raced, trying to apply human logic to alien ritual and failing spectacularly. Was it mental? Psychic? Or was it Dewani Detta box headed this day? Physical? Vexia took a step towards him, her movements smooth despite the shimmering armor. The glowing patterns on her body pulsed faster. The humming intensified, filling the small chamber, pressing in on him. It felt like she was a tuning fork, vibrating at a specific frequency, waiting for him to match it. But how? His body was just, Dottie was just, human. Flesh and blood. Nothing like her metallic, energy-infused form. Commander, he said, his voice strained by the heat. Look, I'm just a guy. I fix ships. I scavenge wrecks. I'm not. O the feki choose dom tade gon bakomne. I'm fiktok takaraplay. Whatever you think I am, I don't know how to do this. Her golden eyes held his, their glow absolute. Strength, she said, her voice still resonant but with an undercurrent Kale couldn't identify. Was it impatience? Disappointment? Prove your core is not cold. Reach out. Reach out? Physically, he hesitated. What would happen if he touched her? Would he be electrocuted? Burned? Or worse, would something irreversible happen? Some alien bonding ritual he didn't understand? But the heat was rising. He could feel his skin prickling, his vision blurring at the edges. Failure was death. He had to try something. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward, extending a hand, palm open, towards her. His hand trembled slightly. The glowing patterns on her armor seemed to shift, almost flowing towards his touch. The humming intensified further. He braced himself, his heart pounding. His fingertips made contact with the surface of her armor. It wasn't burning hot like the air. It was warm, vibrantly warm, and the moment he touched her, the humming intensified dramatically, vibrating up his arm, through his chest, into his very core. It wasn't just sound. It was energy, flowing between them, and something else, something deeper. A strange sense of connection, a resonance he couldn't explain. His eyes widened. This wasn't physical strength. It wasn't even mental strength. It was, chilly suprat. Would he want a wall the black on one artillery by walls plaith? Compatibility? A biological lock and key? Vexia's golden eyes widened slightly, just a fraction. The glowing patterns on her body pulsed fiercely where he touched her, then spread, flowing rapidly across her chest, her limbs. The humming deepened, became a resonant thrum that vibrated against his palm, against his whole body. It felt like she was, buffed if forn she was, what a, oh my tone star G, reacting to him. Not just passively receiving his touch, but actively responding, her form igniting under his hand. The air in the chamber, while still hot, no longer felt purely hostile. It felt charged, expectant. This was the resonance. This was the ignition. And it was happening because he simply touched her. What the hell kind of test was this? He held his hand against her, feeling the powerful vibrations, watching the intricate glowing patterns spread across her form. Her metallic skin was smooth beneath his fingertips, unexpectedly supple, like warm silk over tightly wound wires. The heat in the chamber intensified again, but now it felt different, less like a threat, more like a catalyst. Vexia's throat nodes vibrated with a sound that wasn't quite a hum anymore, but a low, guttural rumble. Her golden eyes locked onto his, held a fierce, primitive intensity that sent a jolt of something electric through him. Resonate, she murmured, her voice deep, raw. Align the core. Prove the fire within. What? He didn't understand the words intellectually, but his body did. The vibration from her pulsed into him, and he felt a corresponding response deep within his own chest, a strange echoing resonance. It wasn't just his hand touching her, it felt like his very being was being pulled into alignment with hers. The heat was building, threatening to overwhelm him, but somehow the connection to her felt like an anchor, a focus. He closed his eyes for a moment, concentrating on the feeling, letting the vibration flow through him, trying to match its frequency, its intensity. When he opened his eyes, Vexia's form was blazing. The gold patterns covered her completely, pulsing with fierce light. The humming was a deafening roar of energy, and her eyes, they were no longer just glowing gold. They were molten pools, fixed on him with an expression of raw, focused need. She reached out, slowly, her hand closing around his. Her grip was strong, radiating that same intense warmth and vibration. The form responds. She breathed, her voice tight. You possess the fire, more than expected. Then, with a speed that belied her size, she pulled him close. His chest hit her armored form, the impact jarring, but the metal felt yielding, almost soft against him. Her other arm wrapped around his back, holding him in a vice-like grip. The vibration intensified further, the humming of physical force. He was pressed against her, surrounded by her heat, her energy, the fierce thrum of her being. This was it. This was the test. His body reacted instantly, not with fear but with a surge of primal arousal, a response completely outside of his control. He was vibrating with her, held tight against her glowing, humming form, the heat pressing in. Her head tilted back slightly, exposing the column of her throat, the nodes there vibrating furiously. Her golden eyes held his, unblinking. The trial requires full alignment, she whispered, her voice husky. Body, core, energy. The form must be fully ignited. The bond must be forged. And then her head lowered, and she kissed him. It wasn't a gentle kiss. It was a possessive, demanding press of mouth on mouth, alien lips surprisingly soft, tasting of minerals and ozone. Her tongue traced his, hesitant at first, then bolder, seeking entry. He stiffened, shocked, then his body took over. The arousal, the heat, the sheer alien intensity of it overwhelmed his fear. He responded awkwardly at first, then with a desperation born of survival and burgeoning need. His free hand came up, finding purchase on the smooth, warm metal of her shoulder. The kiss deepened, became a hungry exploration. Her grip tightened further, pulling him flush against her. He could feel the heat radiating from her, through the metal, through his clothes, into his skin. It felt like they were merging, two different frequencies trying to lock into place. The humming in the chamber, the pulsing patterns on her body, the fierce heat, it all converged on this single point of contact, this raw physical connection. She groaned, a deep rumbling sound from her chest that vibrated against his. Yes, she whispered against his mouth. This is the resonance. Ignite it, human. Ignite the form completely. Her hand moved from his back, sliding down his spine, pausing at his waist, then moving lower. Her touch was shockingly intimate, clinical, yet demanding. She seemed to be assessing him, feeling the contours of his body beneath his thin jumpsuit. He gasped into her mouth, the heat and the touch combining to push him to the brink of his control. This wasn't just a test, it was a biological imperative, an alien mating ritual playing out with him as the unwilling yet undeniably aroused participant. He was supposed to prove his strength, and it seemed the Cathar definition of strength in this context was purely, brutally sexual. Her hand found what it sought, wrapping around him, firm and knowing. A low guttural sound rumbled from her throat nodes, a sound of approval, of discovery. The fire is strong here, she murmured, her voice thick with rising arousal. The glowing patterns on her body flared brighter still, pulsing with a furious golden light. The humming was now a deafening roar in the small chamber. She released his mouth, her golden eyes blazing with primal intensity, locking onto his. She pulled back just enough to allow him room to move, her grip still firm, guiding him. The air was thick with humidity and the strange, sweet metallic scent of her. She lowered herself slightly, positioning him. Prove the strength of your core, she commanded, her voice tight with anticipation. The raw, demanding intensity in her eyes, the burning heat of her body, the primal thrumming filling the chamber. When it all coalesced into a single, overwhelming need. He was a scavenger, not a mate, but his body wasn't listening. It was responding to the ancient call of the trial, the undeniable pull of the alien female's ignited form. He had stumbled into a mating ritual, and the only way out, the only way to prove his worth and survive the heat, was to fulfill its requirements. He was already hard, aching with a mix of fear and desire. Her grip on him guided him, her body shifting slightly. The metal plates of her armor flowed and reformed, creating an opening, revealing the smooth, darker skin beneath, radiating heat and a faint, sweet scent. This wasn't cold metal, it was living tissue, warm and inviting despite the terrifying circumstances. He pressed forward, urged on by her silent command. The heat, the deafening hum, the primal pull. Entry was tight, a friction of dissimilar forms finding a desperate, intense union. He bit back a groan as he finally buried himself inside her, The friction incredible, the heat radiating from her body engulfing him completely. Her body clenched around him, a powerful internal grip that stole his breath. A low guttural growl escaped her throat. "Resonance achieved," she rasped, her voice thick with effort and something akin to pleasure. The humming intensified, vibrating not just around them, but within them. The glowing patterns on her body pulsed in time with their joined rhythm. She began to move, slow and deliberate at first, setting a pace that was deep, consuming. He had no choice but to follow, his own body responding instinctively, matching her rhythm. The fear receded, replaced by the overwhelming sensations, the intense friction, the crushing heat, the feeling of being utterly consumed by this powerful alien being. Her golden eyes were closed now, her face strained with effort, or pleasure, or both. The humming intensified, a high-pitched keen now layered over the deep thrum. It felt like energy was building between them, a storm of sensation focused in their joined bodies. Her grip tightened, pulling him deeper, harder. He thrust into her again and again, desperate, driven. This wasn't just sex, it was a merging of biological forces, a test of endurance, a primal act stripped of all gentleness. He could feel himself building, driven by the raw intensity of her response, the overwhelming stimulus of the chamber and her ignited form. She arched back suddenly, a fierce, wordless cry tearing from her throat. Her body convulsed around him, milking him dry. At the same time, he felt a searing heat on his chest, just over his heart, a sharp sting. He cried out, his own release hitting him like a physical blow, explosive, overwhelming. He collapsed against her, gasping for breath, his body trembling, spent. He was still joined to her, pressed against her vibrating, glowing form. The heat of the chamber still intense but receding slightly now, like the peak of a wave had passed. The humming began to lower in pitch, becoming softer, the pulsing glow on Vexia's body dimming slowly. He lay there heart hammering, sweat stinging his eyes, utterly exhausted. What the hell had just happened? Kanding had sex with a giant metallic alien warrior. Goptus as a test. And it hadn't killed him. He'd passed by. But he being good in bed? His brain couldn't process it. Vexia slowly pushed him away, her golden eyes opening. The intense primal look was still there, but overlaid with something else. Confusion? Shock? Disbelief? The glowing patterns on her armor faded almost completely, leaving just the dull bronze metal. The humming stopped. Silence descended, thick and heavy, broken only by their ragged breaths. He looked down at his chest. On the skin over his heart, where he'd felt the sting, was a faint, metallic-looking mark. A small, intricate pattern of glowing gold lines, identical to the patterns that had pulsed on her form. "What dappa? What is this?" he whispered, touching the mark. It was warm to the touch, and it felt embedded in his skin, not just a surface mark. Vexia looked at the mark, then back at him, her face a mask of alien inscrutability. Her throat nodes vibrated, but this time it was a low, uncertain sound. "The bond form," she said, her voice quieter now, devoid of its previous command. "It has been ignited. The resonance. Jot. Tone is complete. Under can be at come. Under completelis late. Disincinabioboring. Our shakarutiopriner. Under completelis woltexture nubus." "The bond form?" Kale felt a fresh wave of dread wash over him. This was more than just passing a test. This was binding. Does that mean, Trom, are we? Potties linked? Forever? She didn't answer immediately, her gaze fixed on him. He could see the confusion warring with ingrained cultural understanding in her eyes. "The trial of flame and form tests fundamental compatibility," she finally said, slowly, as if processing the words herself. "It measures the ability to resonate, to ignite the form. Success initiates the bond. The mark, get, signifies the claim, the completion of the ritual." "Claim?" Kale's voice was sharp. "You mean I'm yours now? Like, property?" Her golden eyes flashed with a flicker of the old fire. "Do not misunderstand, human. In Cathar culture, claiming is not ownership. It is binding. It is mutual survival. It is. There's pair bonding." She gestured to the mark on his chest. "You carry my form. You are marked as mine. I am. Tortoise Elijah, you are. Bound to you?" Kale ran a hand through his sweat-soaked hair, trying to process the absurdity of it all. He'd stumbled into a hostile alien culture, stolen some shiny rocks, and ended up accidentally bonded to their dominant warrior commander through some kind of supercharged sex ritual. So, let me get this straight, he said, struggling to find his usual sarcastic defense. I had to prove my strength, and that strength was apparently, what's being sexually compatible with you? And because I passed the test, God help me, we're now pair bonded? What the actual fuck? Vexia's throat nodes hummed again, a quick sharp burst that he was starting to recognize as annoyance, or maybe amusement. Your human profanities are, or you paint you your human spat be scratched on to recognize as annoyance, or maybe amusement. Confusing, but accurate in their emotional tone perhaps. She stepped closer again, regarding him with that intense alien gaze. You ignited the form. No human has ever been recorded as capable of resonance. They are cold, disconnected. You, Titidra not. Your core fire is unexpected, powerful. She reached out, her metallic fingers tracing the gold mark on his chest. His skin tingled under her touch. This changes everything, she stated. Not to him, but seemingly to herself. The elders, Dapan, woman underground. They anticipated your failure. The incineration, your success. It isn't unprecedented. A disruption. A disruption. Kale laughed, a short, bitter sound. Yeah, that sounds about right. My life is a series of disruptions, usually involving things blowing up or me getting chased. The elders will not accept this easily, Vexia continued, ignoring his remark. Her voice took on a serious, almost grim tone. Your binding to me challenges their beliefs, their hierarchy. They see humans as inferior. This refutes their fundamental understanding. She looked at the sealed door of the chamber. They are watching. They see the mark. They feel the resonance. Great, Kale muttered. So I passed the test, survived the heat, got branded. Now I've pissed off the alien elders? What's next? A congratulations ceremony followed by summary execution? Likely the latter, Vexia said flatly. Unless the bond form proves strong enough. Unless our combined strength is sufficient to challenge their decree. Her golden eyes locked onto his again, and there was a new intensity there, a strategic calculation replacing the primal heat of the trial. You have proven your core fire. Now you must prove your other strengths, human. Your resilience, your defiance, your quick wits, as you call them. We are bound now. Your fight is mine, and mine. Dope is yours. She reached out, taking his arm in a firm grip. Come, we must face the elders. They will not wait. The door to the chamber of resonance hissed open again, revealing not the arena where he'd been brought, but a wide, glowing corridor. Standing at the far end were several figures, larger, older-looking Cathar, their armor patterns intricate and vibrant, their throat nodes vibrating with a low, ominous chorus. The elders. They were staring at him, at Vexia, at the mark on his chest. Their collective hum was not welcoming. It was judgmental, accusatory. Vexia didn't hesitate. She pulled Kale forward, his arm still in her grip, leading him down the corridor towards the waiting elders. He stumbled slightly, still shaky from the trial, from the intensity of the bonding, from the sheer shock of it all. But he walked with her, a scrawny human marked with alien gold, bound to a powerful alien warrior. He was no longer just a scavenger. He was a participant in Cathar politics, a challenge to ancient traditions, a pair-bonded mate facing down the governing body of his captors. And the only reason he was still alive was because he had, in the most unexpected way possible, proven his strength. As they approached the elders, the humming intensified, a wave of disapproval and shock washing over them. Kale felt a strange pressure in his chest, centered around the new mark, a faint resonance with Vexia that seemed to push back against the hostile vibrations of the elders. He was still terrified, but walking beside Vexia, feeling the solid warmth of her grip on his arm, the faint thrum of her body against his side, he felt a strange sense of, not safety but shared peril. He was bound to her, for better or worse, and right now it looked like it was for much, much worse. The lead elder, a massive Cathar whose armor glowed with pulsating violet light, stepped forward. Its voice was a deep, grating rumble. Vexia, commander of the northern plains. You present the form completed. You bear the mark. But you present, only a human. An unformed, This resonance is impossible. It is an abomination. Vexia stopped before the elder, standing tall, protective in front of Kale. Her own armor glowed softly now, a steady golden light. Elder Jurak, the trial of flame and form demands truth. The human resonated. His core fire ignited the form. The bond is forged. Her voice was firm, unwavering. A lie, another elder screeched, its voice sharp and metallic. Humans are cold. They lack the necessary biological frequencies. This is a trick, a defilement of the sacred ritual. I carry the mark, Vexia declared, lifting Kale's hand and placing it over the glowing gold pattern on his chest. Feel the resonance yourselves if you doubt the truth of the trial. The elders hesitated. Testing the resonance of a bond form was a fundamental tenet of their law, but testing it on a human, it was unthinkable. Yet, to refuse would imply doubt in the trial itself. A greater blasphemy. Elder Jirak, after a long, tense moment, extended a hand, a single massive finger reaching towards Kale's chest. Kale braced himself, expecting pain or at least rejection. But as the elder's finger touched the mark, the gold lines pulsed fiercely, and a strong vibration emanated from it, connecting with the elder. Elder Jirak recoiled slightly, a surprised hum escaping its throat nodes. The violet light on its armor flickered. By the core, it rumbled, the resonance. Abrat is genuine. The bond form, it is active. A stunned silence fell among the elders. Their humming dropped to a barely audible whisper. Vexia stood firm, holding Kale's arm, her stance radiating defiance and validation. Kale just stood there trying to look less like a terrified scavenger and more like whatever it was he was supposed to be now. A bonded human, a living refutation of alien dogma. Impossible, Elder Jirak finally said, its voice strained. A human, a typed in the least to go Stalin and Krauman, a Chiffergencher, a 2x twartle garkle looking, under craze, or fabjul bulliginally post-mouth low croissant possesses resonance? It looked at Kale with a mixture of awe and profound disturbance. His physical form is too insignificant, yet his core fire, top to jot top, K. What damig napri so budgets dot. What alcon balmies. It is strong enough to ignite the form of a commander? Strength is not only mass, Elder, Vexia said, echoing her earlier words to Kale. It is heat, it is frequency, it is the fire within. The human, he possesses it, more than any I have encountered. She glanced at Kale, and for the first time, he saw something akin to respect, maybe even admiration, in her golden eyes. The elders began to hum among themselves, a chaotic, discordant sound of debate and confusion. Elder Jarak turned its blazing violet gaze back to Vexia. The ritual is fulfilled. The bond is acknowledged, but a bond between Cathar and Jospost point of D. Between Cathar and human, this is unprecedented. The implications are vast, unstable. The balance is disrupted. The trial is law, Vexia stated. The bond is law. You cannot deny it. We cannot, Elder Jirak conceded, its voice heavy. But the unformed cannot remain on Cathar Prime unbound by tradition. He is a variable, a potential threat. He must be. Integrated, or contained. It looked from Vexia to Kale, then back to Vexia. A bonded human. Dodd is untested, unproven beyond the resonance. His loyalty is unknown. His purpose unclear. He is bound to me, Vexia said, pulling Kale closer to her side. His purpose is mine, his loyalty. She believes somebody feared, who will be earned. She looked down at Kale, and though her face was unreadable, the fierce pride radiating from her was unmistakable. He has proven his strength in the chamber. Now he will prove his strength among my people. He is claimed. He is bonded, and he is under my protection. It was a statement, a challenge, and a promise all rolled into one. Kale felt a tremor go through her arm where she held him, a silent communication of determination. He was still scared, still confused, but standing there bound to this formidable alien woman facing down her disapproving elders, he felt a strange sense of belonging, a bond forged in fire and friction, fear and unexpected resonance. He had survived, and somehow, against all logic, he had found a place, however perilous, in this alien world, right by the side of the woman who had challenged him to prove his strength, and had gotten far more than she, or anyone could have possibly expected. The elders continued their dissonant humming, but they did not advance. The law of the trial was absolute, even when its outcome was utterly unexpected. Elder Jirak looked at Kale one last time, its gaze lingering on the gold mark on his chest. "The bond is recognized," it repeated, its voice still laced with unease. "Vexia, you are responsible for the unform's integration, any disruption caused by his presence.
Bow falls upon your honor."
Proceed with caution. The future of the form. Chonut id botul docking sowal. Pad the late farman serig. Bolda farman had shona the sawadwani farman headout. Depends on it. Where depends on it? Vexia nodded, a curt dip of her head. "It is done, elders. The trial is concluded. The bond holds." She turned, still holding Kale's arm, and led him away from the silent, watchful figures. They walked back the way they came, the long corridor stretching out before them. The air felt different now, still hot, still smelling of sulfur and minerals, but the tension had shifted. They were no longer just captive and captor, or challenger and participant. They were Mod Domin Yuan, bonded, claimed, pair bonded. The alien term felt both utterly foreign and strangely significant. "So," Kale said finally, breaking the silence, his voice dry, "that was doppy intense. What happens now? Do I get a room? Maybe some water? Or are we immediately off to prove my loyalty by fighting a lava monster?" Vexia didn't smile, but the humming in her throat nodes was softer, almost thoughtful. "You are claimed by a commander. You will reside in my quarters. Water is available. The fighting will come. The elders will not simply ignore the disruption you represent. There will be challenges. To you, to the bond, to me." "Great," Kale muttered. "More challenges. Just what I need." He looked at the mark on his chest. It was no longer glowing, just a faint metallic tracing on his skin. He touched it again. It felt warm, a permanent link. "A brand. You are resilient, human," Vexia said, glancing down at him. "Your defiance, but it is intriguing. And your core fire, it is truly remarkable." She paused, then added, almost reluctantly, "You did not break." "Yeah, well," Kale shrugged, trying to inject some of his usual bravado, failing slightly. "Breaking's not really my style. Surviving. Tug usually is." They reached a different door, guarded by two Cathar warriors whose armor hummed with respect as Vexia approached. They opened the door, revealing a chamber that was clearly living quarters, sparse, functional, carved from the same glowing obsidian, but with areas for rest and what looked like weapon displays. Vexia led him inside. The moment they were enclosed in the private space, Vexia released his arm. She turned to face him, her golden eyes searching his face. The rigid posture was gone, replaced by something more open. "I did not anticipate. Woten bubskrapodis." "This," she said, her voice lower, more personal. "I expected the trial to eliminate you." Painlessly, confirming the elder's pronouncements. "Walden man." "Yeah, well, surprises happen," Kale said, still trying to find his footing. "Turns out being good at
Jack.
Ho was my ticket out of getting incinerated. Who knew?" He was still riding the wave of shock and exhaustion, a nervous energy making him want to pace. Vexia watched him, her expression unreadable. Then, slowly, one hand went to her chest, over the place where his mark resonated on his own body. "The bond form is death the funch double. Demanding. It requires ye one freight, proximity, recalibration." She met his eyes, and the intense heat, the primal knowing that had been in them during the trial, was back, simmering just beneath the surface of her composure. "We are bound, human. Fundamentally. The resonance must be maintained. The fire kept burning. Quenchid the apolobusheist. As he underground, the eridal nopal howe. Kale felt a jolt go through him. He wasn't just getting a room, he was getting continued access to the chamber of resonance. Or was the bonding permanent now, the recalibration happening outside the ritual space? He swallowed. This was a whole new level of complicated. He was bonded to an alien warrior who was now looking at him with a mixture of warrior's pride, cultural confusion, and a deep unsettling hunger. He'd survived the test of strength, but the real challenge, the challenge of living with the consequences, was just beginning. He met her gaze, exhaustion warring with a sudden dangerous awareness. Kept burning, huh? He managed, a flicker of his old sarcasm returning, tinged with something new. Looks like my retirement plans are officially shot to hell.